What's up? How you doing? Greetings and salutations. Mr. Stabby here.
And today, we're going to be talking about
Battle Report.
Tirul Bestie.
Okie dokie artichoke, welcome back everyone. So before we get started, let's give a huge round of applause to our two new vocal actors. The first vocal actor that you heard, her name is Ice Princess. Here's her profile on the screen, and she did the first part. And then our second vocal actor is named Mario. Here's his stuff on the screen, and he did the second part. He did the BeastLord style part in Romanian, and Ice did the in today's video part in English. Okay, so we'll get rid of that. This might be a long video. I'm gonna try my best for it to not be a long video, but if you've been watching my videos, you know sometimes I like to be chatty Cathy. So what is a battle report? You get a battle report every time you do something battle related, right? Mines, PvP, AE, what have you, right? And knowing how to read a battle report is paramount with your advancements to PvP. Knowing what happened in the battle will determine how you need to change your march to win, or what you need to change your march for like a better defense, or what have you. Okay, so let's just go, I don't know, let's find a good one. What's a good one? A good one to start out with. Let's go with this one. All right, I don't know. This was during AE. This is a summary screen. This summarizes everything. Now granted, the battle report won't tell you exactly step by step, you know, turn by turn what happened, but it'll give you a pretty good, you know, understanding of what happened. So, and even though this is on the PC, on the phone, it looks the same. Okay, here, let's get rid of this. So, scroll over a screen, swipe over a screen. So, at the top, round 1, 3 rounds in total. That means this little battle lasted for 3 rounds. The defender is me, the invader is you, right? This is my name, this is your name, this is my chords, that's your chords. This is the power loss to the march after the battle. This is your power loss to the march after the battle. These are exactly down the same. You can click the little eye, you know, to get better definitions of what they mean. But defeated, deaths, slightly injured, severely injured, and survived. Okay? Now, if we scroll down, this is my stuff. This is my Mega Beasts, my Alphas, my Beasts, and this is yours. Okay? We'll get to that in a minute. Scroll back up here to Troop Attributes. If you click that, and you scroll down, this shows you the buffs and the evos and everything that you have with each of your squads. If you have different beast squads, you may see a fluctuation in the buffs and bonuses right here, depending on the evos and everything of your beasts. For example, if you have a COO or a CCO, which C is carnivore, O is omnivore, right? So if you have a carnivore and an omnivore and an omnivore, it'd be COO, right? So if you had a COO and your carnivore's evos were maxed out, but your omnivore evos weren't maxed out, you would see a fluctuation in the stats, you know, comparatively. I hope that makes sense. So in this case, we're looking at this. This is attack. This is your attack, defense. Well, there's 2, but attack, defense, health, combat speed. If you don't know how important combat speed is, I'll put a link up here and you can go check out that video. Combat speed is very important. Whoever has the highest combat speed, their march attacks first, regardless of whom attacks who. If you attack me and I have a higher combat speed, right, then my march hits your march first, even though you attacked me first. It's the speed of which combat happens, right? These two in the center, these come from your mega beasts. At level 6, I believe it starts to, or not level 6, star 6, I believe star 6 it begins to help. However, at star 9 it helps drastically, as you see here. So if we look here, I have more attack than he does. Just him in general, them, whatever. More defense, more mega beast attack and defense, definitely more health, definitely more combat speed. Okay, health is very important. Health is the most important stat in the game. If you're not working on health, you most certainly need to. Oh, my bad, I clicked out of it. Okay, so that was the troop attributes. With that out of the way, let's take care of the battle details. When you come to your alpha, this will be your alpha. Skill used, that's proc, P-R-O-C, programmed random occurrence. This might get a little complicated. It's not really. Once you get it, it's easy. Your combat alphas have 3 combat skills, aka proc skills. It only has 3 skills that can trigger. That triggering effect is called proc. If you read your skills, skill 2, skill 5, and skill 10, your combat skills, it'll say it has like a 50% chance to do X amount of damage, or it has a 70% chance to do 500% damage, or whatever. That initial 50% chance to trigger, or 70% chance to trigger, that's your proc. That's what proc is. You know, it has a 50% chance to proc. It has a 50 proc, or it has a 70% chance would be a proc 70 or a 70 proc. That's what that means. A little bit of ant game terminology for you. So, since we know skills 2, skill 5, and skill 10 proc, the other skills are passive, which means it happens regardless. Whenever they go into combat, those passive skills happen. Proccing doesn't necessarily always happen. Everything is RNG. RNG stands for random generated. Meaning, if you and I were to attack each other, were to do some PvP. If I hit you 5 times in a row, each one of my battle reports, even though I have the same march, the same beast, the same mega beast, they're all going to say 5 different things. This is because everything is random. But in that, understanding that everything is random, we can kind of determine what's going on. For example, the giant moose. The giant moose isn't necessarily a power hitter. It does have some attacking stuff, but a giant moose is basically there as, consider a magic user. It's a double debuff. It can silence your alphas, meaning your alpha skills don't proc, and it can exhaust your marches, meaning your marches do less damage. So that's kind of like a magical user, right? It's a double debuff. Your Siberian tiger, or Sibtig, that's known to proc its ass off and do pretty good amounts of damage. Same with the cassowary. It's a season thing. It's a season alpha. Everybody gets it. But nonetheless, it procs well, and it usually does a good amount of damage. Like here, we see it procced 5 times. That means five times it used one of the 3 skills, proccing skills that it has. And when it did that, it did 105,000 points of damage. The skill kills means it killed 105,000 beasts or whatever, but just look at it as a point system, right? It procced 5 times and did 105,000 points of damage. It's only a 2-star. The 3-star Sibtig procced 5 times and did 90,000 points of damage. It hit, but it didn't hit hard. It wasn't very hungry. The Giant Moose, on the other hand, it procced one time and it only did 20,000 points of damage. Now, we can determine what happened. I have a higher combat speed, right? So my march went first. My Giant Moose procced one time. Now you come down here to their battle report and you see how their giraffe, it's maxed out. It didn't proc at all. And it didn't do any damage. Same with the Black Panther. It's maxed out. It procced, or it didn't proc at all. And it didn't, do hardly any damage. Now, of course, the T8 omnivores aren't going to do very much damage to the T9 army that they're facing. The T9 carnies, because I have more health. In fact, I think I have almost more health than their and defense than their attack. Anyways, I digress. It's not the point. The fact that my Giant Moose procced one time and did so little damage, because I've been playing with my March long enough, I know on average what the Giant Moose is going to do. I know on average what the Sibtig and the Cassowary is going to do, And when I say on average, I'm saying like you got to look at it as a whole. If you run your March into something 10 times and you look at your battle report, the amount of damage each alpha does, even though it's random, sometimes it won't do shit. Sometimes it'll hit the best it possibly can. Most of the time it's somewhere in the middle of that, right? I know my Giant Moose normally hits for a little bit more than 20,000 points, right? Normally it's in the 50-60 range. And the fact that it only procced one time tells me that more than likely my Giant Moose completely silenced the giraffe. That's why the giraffe didn't proc. That's why the giraffe didn't do any damage. Seeing how his Sibtig procced 4 times and did only 24,000 points of damage with T8 carnivores. Now you could be saying, well, Stabby, he has T8 omnivores right there. What's the difference? Well, carnivores, as you know, they're glass cannons, right? They usually do a lot of damage for what they are, right? So his Sibtig procced 4 times and only did 13,000 points of damage more than his beast did. Normally your alpha is going to do way more damage than your beast will. The fact that those numbers are so closely together, either A, they could have most likely just had a bad procking when they did their attacks. Of course they're a smaller player, of course they're not going to win anyways, right? But generally speaking, of course this is generally speaking, it should have did more damage. That tells me that his March, their March, whatever, was silenced and exhausted. That's why it did so little damage. The battle reports won't tell you how many times it used skill 2 or skill 5 or skill 10. It'll just tell you how many times the skill procced and the damage that it did. Unfortunately, even with poison, unless they've changed the battle reports, it still won't tell you about poison, even though poison is a fantastic combination, does massive amounts of damage. I super duper wish the battle reports would reflect that. I did look at a battle report the other day that showed how much their alpha healed. So that's an improvement. That's really cool. And that lets you better narrow down the skills used as well. If your alpha is a healing alpha and it said it healed 11,000 points of damage, it procced 3 times and only did 7,000 points of damage, it would be easy to determine, or assume, sadly, it would be easy to assume that the skills that alpha procced were the healing skills as opposed to the combat skills, if there's any. But you have to read the skills. In order to fully understand a battle report, you have to fully understand your alpha skills. One cannot exist without the other, because you'll be lost. You really won't know, what the hell's going on. So if you were to go look, if we were to go look at the skills, remember skill 1, or it procced once, but it only did 20,000 points of damage, right? So let's find our Giant's Moose. Skill 2 says it has a 40% chance to deal 205% damage, plus alpha level times 5%, to one random enemy squad within the effective range and exhaust them, reducing their damage by 20% for 1 round. Okay, so if I was going to do 205% damage, I would like to think that that damage multiplier is a little bit higher than 20,000 with all of my current evos and everything. And the exhausting, while reduces their damage for 20% for 1 round, the effective range is 2. Well, it's on the front row. And if you know anything about, ranges, and if you don't, check out this cool graphic that I'm putting up here. This is how ranges work. So since the moose is on the front row and it has a range of 2, it would hit their giraffe and their black panther. But if you remember, their giraffe and black panther, 0 procs, 0 kills. Okay, so let's go look at skill 5. Has a 26% chance to deal 390% damage, plus alpha level times 3% damage to one random enemy squad within the effective range, and silencing them, disabling their combat skills for 2 rounds. Now we know the range is 2, and we know from the battle report it lasted 3 rounds. And furthermore, we know that the first 2 alphas in Oh Boy's March did nothing. 0 procs, 0 damage. So, to me, and it has an effective range of 3, right? So this skill could hit their giraffe, their panther, and their siptig. I think that it was a siptig, right? Pretty sure it was a siptig. Now, me personally, with the experience that I have in the game and everything, and I'm not saying like I'm all knowing or whatever, just we have to go from how we feel, because these things aren't very detailed. But me personally, I think this is the skill that my moose procced. It procced 1 time. It did a little bit of damage. Alpha level times 3. If you notice, skill 2 was alpha level times 5. The damage multiplier should have been just a little bit higher than the 20k that it was. Because it was so low, this is a lower damage multiplier. Even though it has a higher proc chance, it's still a lower damage multiplier. Well, it has a low proc, but that's a higher damage proc. That's a lower damage multiplier. I would assume from the battle report that my moose procced this attack and it silenced, on 1 round it silenced the giraffe, and on the 2nd round it silenced the black panther. And that's the purpose of the giant moose. Every battle report you go to, right? Let's look at this battle report, because there was one down here. Where is it at? Yeah, see, I invaded Grim here, but up here I failed by Grim. So let's go see really quick, just really quickly. Oh look, similar marches, right? Let's go see. This was the win, right? So let's see what happened here. We're both rocking T9s, Carnies. We're pretty even on the stats. My Mega Beast is better. You can immediately see this because this comes from the Mega Beast. His health is better. My combat speed is better. His defense is better. We're pretty even. I would consider this pretty even. Even though he lost more than I did. See the power, the March power? Even though his March power lost more than I did, I would attribute that to my higher defense right here and my health, my combat speed. Right? Let's go to the battle details, see what happened. So I've got what I've got. Let's see what he's got. He's got a 9-star dildo. I know that's not the name. He has an awoken giraffe, right? Automatically, that 0 skill use, 0 kill, he got silenced. See? So my giant moose procced 4 times, did 45,000 points of damage. You come down here, well, go to the beast real quick. The beast only did 20,000 points of damage, right? So you come down here, this procced none. I mean, this is good. The giraffe isn't necessarily a powerhouse alpha. It does, however, help with health, and that's important. So this did nothing. His giant moose procced twice and did 25,000 points of damage. And his cassowary procced 7 times and did 76,000 points of damage. That's kind of low for that proc. Now, he most certainly could have just got bad RNG on this one. However, my giant moose procced 4 times, did 45,000 points of damage, probably silenced his giraffe. My Sibtig procced 10 times and did 111,000 points of damage, procced its ass off. It was hungry. Let's see how it did the majority of the damage compared to the troops. And then the cassowary wasn't that hungry at 5 procs, 68,000 points of damage. His march would have survived longer and may have gotten closer if in fact his giraffe wasn't silenced. You know? It looks like he got some exhaustion as well, because that should have done a little bit more. Even though he's just rocking a purple 9-star. A purple 9-star is so much better than having not, right? So it helps, you know, it boosted up his combat speed, you know, his carnivore health. I mean, he has decent stacks for a 9-star Mega Beast. It's that combat speed. Now, let's go see what happened to the other one. Oh, let's see how many, survival was 128,000. Alright, so defeat is 325,000. Defeat is 169,000, right? So let's remember those numbers. So let's go back up here to where he got me. You notice the difference in troops? So let me tell you what happened. Just from seeing this, because I know this was AE, I was probably in a warehouse or a storage or something. And that first time I had more soldiers, I had more beasts. See how the numbers are greater? 325,000, 169, 128,000 survival, no survival, severely injured, or severely injured. Yeah, severely, whatever, severely. You see how the numbers are greater? And then you come up here to this one, especially after seeing all the battle reports, and the numbers over here are much smaller. So I probably was hit. Let's go see the battle reports. Yeah, I was probably hit a few times. See, successful, fail. Successful, territory, defense, fail. Successfully defended. Yeah, so that's probably what happened, was I was hit a few times, and I ran out of troops. But nonetheless, right? Let's go to the Grim. The power loss is similar, right? And then you come over here. See, the troop attributes are still the same, but then you see what happened here, right? So even though the troop attributes are the same, even though I have a higher combat speed, it's still RNG, right? Now, he has a moose with a range of 2. So his moose, range 1, hits the giraffe. It doesn't hit the giraffe, but that's the giraffe spot. And then the second range would be on my moose. That would explain why my moose didn't proc at all. His moose probably silenced mine. Either that or I just had a bad RNG and it didn't proc at all. I forgot what it was doing. But then you look at the 3-star Sibtig, it only procced once at 5,000 points of damage. And then the cassowary procced 4 times at 45,000 points of damage. Right? regardless of how many beasts I have. You see, I didn't have a lot, you can tell by the numbers. Regardless of how many beasts I had, the alpha is going to do the majority of the damage. Oh, look, here, in this case, heal. 5,000 points. So his giraffe procced 5 times. It did 43,000 points of damage, and it healed 5,000 points of health in his own march. See, a good comparison from the other battle report where his giraffe didn't proc at all. Here, it procced, and it proc healed. It procced the skill that gave health, procced. You see here, his giant moose procced 2 times, and it did 34,000 points of damage. I'm actually fairly convinced that his moose silenced mine. That allowed his giraffe to proc, and his cassowary forgot what it was doing. So that was a good battle, but this is how you read a battle report. This is exactly how you read a battle report. If you missed anything in the video, definitely go back and look at it. I tried to speak slowly. This is going to be like a 20-minute long video, and I'm so sorry. But this is very important. And if anybody is having any problems with it, send them to this video. Every alpha, every time you hit, every time you PvP, there's a battle report. Every time. There's even a battle report on the stuff like their herds. You know, it's PvE, so it's irrelevant because, you know, it's PvE. The difference between PvE and PvP is player versus everything, or environment, and player versus player. But you see, when your opponent, in this case it was a herd, when your opponent doesn't have any stats to back anything up, you know, the giant moose procs 8 times for 387,000 points of damage. You know, hey, 420 somewhere. Grow stronger. Stab everyone.